All right, so today we're going to be talking about a game that is very impactful in my life. It is actually the very first video game that I ever played, Sonic Heroes. This was released back in early 2004. I think it was 2003 in Japan. So 21, 22 years now since the game was released, and it's one of the very few Sonic games that has not actually been re-released on modern platforms. You can't buy it on Steam, you can't buy it on PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, anywhere. The only way to get this game is to either dust up the old PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, or use emulators to play them, or you can actually play the native PC version in 2025, which you can do by either having a disc and having a CD drive, or what I did is just download a free copy online. What you see is the native PC version that still looks great, runs great, and is just incredible. Controller support, there were some patches that I think were included in the file that I downloaded, so I was able to actually run it natively at 1440p, which the game originally did not support. But otherwise, it was pretty impressive for the time, what the PC version actually was, because typically when you had a PC version of a multi-platform game, it was either a point and click or just different type of game, not even the same exact game as the one that was on consoles, or the port was just so horrible that you're better off playing the console version. So it was nice that we actually got a good PC version of Sonic Heroes, and it's great because of the fact that it's the best way to play the game now, and you have mods and everything else that you can install. There's plenty of Sonic Hero mods out there. So it's great. It really is. It runs great, looks great. Still, I think it's aged very well for a game that came out over 2 decades ago at this point. I remember it was my 6th birthday. That was my 6th birthday present, was a PlayStation 2 with a copy of Sonic Heroes, and I fell in love with Sonic ever since that moment. Oh my god. I just couldn't get enough of this game. Every day after kindergarten, I would play this game and try to beat it, and I would fail because I was very new to video games at the time, so I had no idea what I was doing. It actually took me many years before I finally unlocked the final boss and final mission, which you have to do in order to actually properly finish it, because you have all the main levels, but you have to have all the Chaos Emeralds in order to unlock the real ending. So, it's always great coming back to this game. I think it is honestly the best 3D Sonic game that I've ever played, or the best Sonic game I ever played, and I know because of the fact that I said that this was one of the first video games I ever played, my bias is going to show, and my objectivity is going to be questioned, and I completely understand why, because honestly, I think that if I didn't grow up with this game, I would have been pretty frustrated, because there is a lot of repetition. It is very repetitive. Team Sonic, Team Dark, Team Rose, and Team Chaotix. You're pretty much playing the same level 4 times, and it gets, it really kind of overstays its welcome after a certain amount of time. That it's there's some minor variation in the levels between each of the 4 teams, but they're very minor. Team Rose just pretty much takes the same level and cuts it in half, and Team Dark makes them a little bit longer, and then Team Chaotix, you have to complete certain objectives in order to finish the level, kill all the robots, enemies, and collect hermit crabs, just weird fucking shit. But it's, honestly, I think you would still get enjoyment out of this game, even if you never played it before, because I just think the actual hero dynamic works really well, and it's very seamless, transitioning between the speed, power, and fly characters. It is just, I think it plays very well. And I think the level design is fantastic, aside from the rail levels, which are abysmal. Every other level, though, I think is just, I love it so much. I think they're still great levels. So, I think it's really just a shame that it's not more accessible to more people, because you pretty much have to go out and search for a pirated copy of the game in order to play it, really. But if you can do that, if you can find a copy of the game, it is totally worth it. I'm not going to provide a copy in the link, in the description, because of the fact that if I did, I'm probably going to get a copyright takedown, and it's definitely not worth going through that. So, hope you guys understand that. At the end of the day, I have a channel, and I don't want it to get taken down over shit like that. So, it's pretty easy to find, though, if you look hard enough. I think you will if you are committed enough to actually playing this game. I mean, the story is okay. It is definitely nothing to go home about, but if we're going to be honest, neither is any of the Sonic games, aside from maybe Adventure 2, because it's never really been a strong suit of the Sonic series, was the actual story and narrative. The one time that they actually, like, took it very seriously, the whole story and everything, was Sonic 06, but they took it a little bit too seriously. If you've played the game before, or if you're at least somewhat familiar with it, you know what I'm talking about, yeah. But, I think Sonic Heroes, like, if we're just gonna say overall, like, how would I rate it out of 10? Yeah, I would give it, like, a 9, 9.5, which, like, if you take my bias aside, it's probably more like a 7, or maybe a 6.5, but it's like, you know, like I said the other day when I talked about Fallout 4, and how much that game means to me, and that's considered, to me, like, the greatest game I ever played, most people had serious issues with the game, but because of nostalgia and because of, you know, what that game get me through depression and everything, you know, that really changed my perspective. So with Sonic Heroes, because it was literally the first game I played, was an important part of my development, yeah, it's gonna impact that. I'm sure we all have, like, shitty games, especially, like, back in the PS2 era, that we absolutely love and we have nothing but nostalgia for. But if you actually look at the reviews and everything, you're, like, mortified. You're like, wait, people hated this game? What? That was my first reaction when I found out what people's real opinions were on Sonic Heroes, and I was just stunned. Absolutely stunned. But since I was a PS2 guy, this was the only Sonic game I was able to play, because they never ported over the adventure games. Well, we had Shadow the Hedgehog, but that's kind of like a spinoff. And we had Sonic Unleashed. That game was horrible. I hated the PS2 version of Sonic Unleashed. That game actually made me not be a Sonic fan anymore. But I still love Heroes. I still play it to this day from time to time. The soundtrack I listen to all the time, because it's just one of the best soundtracks in any video game that's held up very well. And it's just overall, like, you'll have a blast. Any Sonic fan should play this game at least once in their life. I think you'll end up having a lot of fun.